El Clásico didn't become the greatest rivalry in football overnight. The first meeting between Barcelona and Real Madrid took place in 1902, with Barcelona winning 3-1 in the semifinals of the Copa de la Coronación. FC Barcelona were founded in 1899 and Real Madrid 3 years later in 1902. The rivalry between these two Spanish giants has grown over more than 120 years into something far beyond sport. Real Madrid and Barcelona have met 263 times in competitive matches, with the head-to-head record almost perfectly balanced, Real Madrid leading with 106 wins to Barcelona's 105, with 52 draws. This isn't just about football, it's about identity, culture, and history. Barcelona represents Catalonia, a region with its own language, customs, and strong sense of independence. Real Madrid represents the Spanish capital and has long been associated with the central government and Spanish nationalism. This cultural and political dimension has given every match between these clubs a significance that few sporting rivalries can match. When these teams meet, hundreds of millions watch globally, making it one of the most viewed sporting events in the world after the Champions League final. From its earliest days to the present, El Clásico has been shaped by legendary players, controversial transfers, political tensions, and moments of extraordinary football brilliance that have defined generations. The rivalry intensified dramatically in the 1950s with one of the most controversial transfers in football history, the signing of Alfredo Di Stéfano. Di Stéfano, an Argentine forward who had been playing for Millonarios in Colombia, attracted interest from both Spanish giants. Barcelona reached an agreement with River Plate, who held Di Stéfano's original registration rights, believing they had secured his signature. However, Real Madrid reached an agreement with Millonarios, the club he was currently playing for. This created a complex situation where both clubs claimed legitimate rights to the player. FIFA appointed Armando Muñoz Calero as mediator, who decided Di Stéfano should alternate between the clubs, playing for Real Madrid in 1953-54 and 1955-56 seasons, and Barcelona in 1954-55 and 1956-57 seasons. Although Barcelona's president initially agreed to this compromise, internal discontent forced him to resign in September 1953. Barcelona then sold their half share to Real Madrid, and Di Stéfano signed a 4-year contract with Los Blancos. Real paid 5.5 million Spanish pesetas for the transfer, plus a 1.3 million bonus, an annual fee to Millonarios, and a salary for Di Stéfano that represented 40% of Real Madrid's annual revenue at the time. On October 25, 1953, just hours after Barcelona had sold their share, Di Stéfano played in his first Clásico and scored 2 goals in a 5-0 Real Madrid victory. This transfer fundamentally altered the balance of Spanish football and remains one of Barcelona's greatest what-ifs. Di Stéfano's impact on Real Madrid and the rivalry cannot be understated. In his first season, he became La Liga's top scorer with 27 goals, beating Barcelona star Laszlo Kubala. More importantly, he helped Real Madrid win their first league title in 21 years. The Argentine became the cornerstone of Real Madrid's European domination, leading them to 5 consecutive European Cup victories from 1956 to 1960, the first 5 editions of the competition. Di Stéfano scored 18 goals in El Clásico matches during his career, making him one of the fixture's all-time top scorers, alongside Cristiano Ronaldo. Until the early 1950s, Real Madrid had only won 2 Primera División titles between 1929 and 1953, and were not considered a regular title contender. Di Stéfano's arrival, along with Paco Gento in 1953, Raymond Kopa in 1956, and Ferenc Puskás in 1958, transformed Real Madrid into European football's dominant force. Meanwhile, Barcelona relied on Hungarian stars Laszlo Kubala, Sándor Kocsis, and Zoltán Csibor, as well as Luis Suarez, who joined in 1955. The rivalry during the Di Stéfano era was played 26 times, with Real winning 13, Barcelona winning 10, and 3 draws. While theories persist about political interference in the Di Stéfano transfer, most historians agree that the situation was primarily a complex dispute over player registration rights, though Franco's dictatorship undoubtedly influenced the broader context of Spanish football during this period. The political dimension of El Clásico reached its peak during Francisco Franco's dictatorship from 1939 to 1975. Barcelona became a symbol of Catalan identity and resistance. The Camp Nou wasn't just a stadium, it was one of the few places where Catalan culture could be expressed relatively freely under the regime. The famous motto, Més que un club, more than a club, emerged from this era, representing Barcelona's role as a cultural and political symbol for Catalonia. Real Madrid, as the club from Spanish capital, has long been associated with the central government and Spanish nationalism. Though most historians now agree that Franco did not have a singular preferred team and wanted both Madrid teams and Barcelona to succeed as Spanish teams rather than regional ones, nevertheless, the perception of Real Madrid as the establishment club and Barcelona as the opposition gave their matches enormous symbolic weight. Every Barcelona victory felt like a small act of cultural affirmation for Catalans, while Real Madrid's successes reinforced the capital's dominance. This political undertone made El Clásico different from other football rivalries. It was a proxy battle for identity, autonomy, and cultural survival, played out in front of tens of thousands in the stadiums and millions watching across Spain and beyond. The rivalry saw moments of extreme tension during the Franco era, including Real Madrid's biggest ever victory in El Clásico history, an 11-1 win in the Copa del Generalissimo in 1943. This match remains controversial, with allegations of intimidation surrounding the Barcelona team. Barcelona responded with big victories of their own, including a 7-2 La Liga win in 1951. The matches during this period were characterized by intense physicality and sometimes violent encounters. The Clásico of 1968 in the Copa del Rey final became known as the Bottle Final, when Barcelona won 0-1 at the Bernabéu amid a chaotic and hostile atmosphere. These matches reflected not just sporting competition, but the broader tensions in Spanish society. Franco died in 1975, and Spain transitioned to democracy, but the rivalry's intensity didn't diminish. If anything, it evolved. The political overtones remained, especially as Catalonia gained autonomy and the independence movement grew stronger. El Clásico continued to be more than football, carrying the weight of history and cultural identity into the democratic era. Your rival of Cruyff's arrival at Barcelona in 1973 marked a turning point in the rivalry and in Barcelona's history. Cruyff had been the star of Ajax's 3 consecutive European Cup victories and was at the peak of his powers. Interestingly, Real Madrid had also been interested in signing Cruyff, but the Dutchman chose Barcelona, purportedly influenced by his preference not to play for a club he associated with Franco's regime. Barcelona paid approximately 60 million pesetas for Cruyff, then a world record transfer fee. The transfer was controversial in Spain, and Cruyff's debut was delayed until late October 1973 due to disputes with Dutch football authorities. On February 17, 1974, Cruyff led Barcelona to one of the most famous victories in El Clásico history, a 5-0 win at the Santiago Bernabéu. This was Barcelona's first La Liga title in 14 years, and the manner of victory was emphatic. Goals came from Juan Manuel Asensi, 2, Cruyff, Juan Carlos, and Hugo Sotil in a display of total football that left Real Madrid helpless. Cruyff scored a memorable goal and provided assists as Barcelona dominated possession and movement. The victory was so significant that thousands of Barcelona fans poured into the streets of Catalonia in celebration. A New York Times journalist wrote that Cruyff had done more for the spirit of the Catalan people in 90 minutes than many politicians in years of struggle. This match is still remembered as one of the greatest El Clásico performances and demonstrated that Barcelona could not just compete with, but overwhelm Real Madrid. Cruyff named his son Jordi, a Catalan name, further endearing himself to Barcelona supporters. The 1980s brought new chapters to the rivalry. Real Madrid assembled the Quinta del Buitre, the Vulture's cohort, a core of homegrown Spanish talent, including Emilio Butragueño, Manuel Sanchis, and Michel. This generation won 5 consecutive La Liga titles from 1986 to 1990, dominating Spanish football and establishing Real Madrid's supremacy over Barcelona during this period. In March 1986, a crucial 3-1 victory at the Bernabéu featuring goals from Jorge Valdano and Butragueño effectively secured the title and launched this era of dominance. Barcelona struggled to match this success and looked for solutions both domestically and internationally. The club signed Diego Maradona in 1982 for a world record fee, hoping the Argentine genius could tip the balance. However, Maradona's time at Barcelona was troubled, marred by illness and injuries, including a leg-breaking tackle he suffered in an El Clásico that sparked a massive brawl. Despite these challenges, the foundations were being laid for Barcelona's eventual resurgence, particularly through their youth academy, La Masia, which later would produce a golden generation. If you're enjoying this deep dive into the untold story of El Clásico, make sure to subscribe to Football Detailing for more explainers, tactical breakdowns, and historical deep dives into the beautiful game. Drop a comment below with another title you'd like us to work on, whether it's the rise of a particular club, a legendary player's story, or another historic rivalry. Johan Cruyff returned to Barcelona in 1988, this time as manager, and revolutionized the club. From 1988 to 1996, Cruyff built what became known as the Dream Team, featuring players like Pep Guardiola, Michael Laudrup, Hristo Stoichkov, and Romario. This team won 4 consecutive La Liga titles from 1991 to 1994 and captured Barcelona's first European Cup in 1992 at Wembley Stadium, defeating Sampdoria 1-0. But perhaps the most memorable moment came in La Liga. On January 9, 1994, Barcelona traveled to the Santiago Bernabéu and delivered one of the most complete performances in El Clásico history, winning 5-0. Romario scored twice as Barcelona moved the ball with such precision and dominance that Real Madrid appeared helpless in their own stadium. Goals from Juan Antonio Pizzi, Juan María Baquero, and Ivan Iglesias completed the rout. This victory was psychological warfare. It demonstrated that Barcelona's philosophy could not just compete with Madrid, but utterly overwhelm them. The match is still spoken about in Catalonia with pride and in Madrid with frustration. Real Madrid responded almost exactly a year later with a 5-0 revenge victory of their own at the Bernabéu on January 7, 1995, with Luis Enrique, who would later join Barcelona, among the goal scorers. These exchanged thrashings highlighted the pendulum nature of the rivalry. Dominance was never permanent, and every era of success invited a response. The late 1990s and early 2000s saw Real Madrid enter their Galácticos era, a strategy of assembling the world's most expensive and marketable players. In 2000, Barcelona captain Luis Figo shocked the football world by transferring to Real Madrid for his €60 million release clause, then approximately $180 million. This wasn't just a transfer, it was viewed as betrayal. When Figo returned to Camp Nou wearing Real Madrid's white shirt, Barcelona fans hung banners calling him Judas, scum, and mercenary. Thousands of fake 10,000 peseta notes with his image were thrown at him, along with bottles, coins, cigarette lighters, and mobile phones. In his 3rd season with Real Madrid, during the 2002 Clásico at Camp Nou, Figo faced constant bombardment from the stands, including coins, a knife, a whiskey bottle, and infamously, a pig's head that landed near the corner flag as he prepared to take a corner. This remains one of the most shocking images in El Clásico history and exemplifies how deeply fans invest emotionally in this rivalry. Real Madrid continued building their Galacticos, adding Zinedine Zidane, Ronaldo, the Brazilian striker,
David Beckham, and others. They won the Champions League in 2002 with Zidane's legendary volley in the final, along with La Liga titles. However, Barcelona was building something more sustainable through their youth academy, La Masia.
La Masia, Barcelona's youth academy, had been producing talented players for decades, but in the early 2000s, a special generation was emerging. Lionel Messi arrived from Argentina as a 13-year-old in 2000. Xavi Hernandez and Andrés Iniesta came through the system, along with Carles Puyol, Victor Valdés, and later Sergio Busquets, Gerard Piqué, and Pedro Rodríguez. When Pep Guardiola took over as manager in 2008, he inherited this golden generation and implemented a tactical system called Tiki-Taka, relentless possession football based on constant movement, positional superiority, and technical excellence. Barcelona won the treble in 2008-09, La Liga, Copa del Rey, and Champions League, and then added 3 more trophies later that year to complete an unprecedented sextuple. The defining moment of that season came on May 2, 2009, at the Santiago Bernabéu. Barcelona thrashed Real Madrid 6-2, with Thierry Henry scoring twice and Lionel Messi scoring twice, along with goals from Carles Puyol and Gerard Piqué. Real Madrid briefly led 1-0 through Gonzalo Higuaín and pulled one back through Sergio Ramos to make it 2-3 at halftime, but Barcelona dominated possession, 63.4% to 36.6%, and had 13 shots on target compared to Real Madrid's 4. This wasn't just a victory, it was a statement that Barcelona had created something special, a team that would dominate Spanish and European football. Real Madrid's response to Barcelona's dominance came in the form of Cristiano Ronaldo. In summer 2009, Real Madrid signed Ronaldo from Manchester United for the then world record €94 million. Ronaldo brought athleticism, an insatiable hunger for goals, and the personality necessary to thrive under Real Madrid's immense pressure. His arrival set up the greatest individual rivalry within El Clásico, Messi versus Ronaldo. From 2009 to 2018, when both players were in Spain, they faced each other in El Clásico 29 times. Lionel Messi scored 26 goals in El Clásico matches during his Barcelona career, the all-time record for the fixture. Real Madrid side saw Cristiano Ronaldo score 18 El Clásico goals for Real Madrid. Together, they scored 38 goals in their head-to-head matches, 20 for Messi, 18 for Ronaldo. During their time together in Spain, the two players scored a combined 922 goals across all competitions. The debate about who was better became a defining question of a generation. Messi won the Ballon d'Or 5 times between 2009 and 2018, while Ronaldo won it 4 times. Both contributed to their clubs achieving 100-point seasons in La Liga, Real Madrid in 2011-12 and Barcelona in 2012-13. Their presence elevated El Clásico to unprecedented global attention, with every match becoming a must-watch television worldwide. José Mourinho's appointment as Real Madrid manager in 2010 brought psychological warfare and tactical intensity to new levels. Mourinho had built his reputation as a winner at Porto, Chelsea, and Inter, and Real Madrid brought him specifically to end Barcelona's dominance. The matches during the Mourinho era were characterized by defensive solidity, tactical battles, and sometimes controversial behavior. The rivalry became toxic at times, with multiple confrontations between players and coaching staff. The most infamous incident occurred on August 17, 2011, in the Spanish Super Cup second leg. At Camp Nou, Barcelona won 3-2, securing a 5-4 aggregate victory and the trophy. In the final moments, following a brutal challenge by Marcelo on Cesc Fabregas, both benches cleared onto the field in a mass brawl. Television cameras captured Mourinho walking over to Barcelona's assistant coach, Tito Villanueva, and poking him in the eye. Villanueva reacted by pushing Mourinho away. The incident became global news and epitomized how personal and intense the rivalry had become. Mourinho later apologized for the incident in his 2021 book, admitting he was wrong and that his obsession with winning had led to inappropriate behavior. Despite the controversies, the football during the Mourinho era was exceptional. Real Madrid won La Liga in 2011-12 with a record 100 points, with Ronaldo scoring an astonishing 46 league goals. Barcelona responded by winning La Liga again in 2012-13 with their own 100-point season. The matches produced dramatic moments and tactical innovation. In November 2010, Barcelona defeated Real Madrid 5-0 at Camp Nou, with goals from Xavi, Pedro, David Villa II, and Jefferson Suarez. Messi didn't score, but orchestrated the victory, as Barcelona's possession-based system overwhelmed Mourinho's tactics. Real Madrid got revenge with important victories, including a 2-1 win at Camp Nou in April 2012 that effectively secured the title. The tactical battle between Mourinho's pragmatic, defensively organized approach and Barcelona's possession-based philosophy influenced football tactics worldwide. Coaches globally studied these matches, adopting elements of both systems. The high press, defensive compactness, and counter-attacking strategies refined in these Clásicos became standard elements of modern football tactics. After Mourinho left in 2013, Carlo Ancelotti and then Zinedine Zidane continued Real Madrid's competitive challenge to Barcelona. Zidane, appointed in 2016, achieved unprecedented success by winning 3 consecutive Champions Leagues from 2016 to 2018, a feat unmatched in the modern era. His Real Madrid team featured Ronaldo, Gareth Bale, Karim Benzema, Luka Modric, and Sergio Ramos. Meanwhile, Barcelona continued winning La Liga titles under Luis Enrique in 2014 to 2017 with their famous MSN attacking trio of Messi, Luis Suarez, and Neymar. Luis Suarez scored a hat-trick in a memorable 5-1 Barcelona victory at Camp Nou in October 2018, completing a dominant performance that saw Real Madrid's season unravel. The matches remained intensely competitive, even as both teams evolved tactically. Barcelona's Tiki-Taka adapted to become more direct, while Real Madrid perfected counter-attacking football with devastating efficiency. Both approaches proved successful, confirming that there's no single correct way to play football.
The departure of both Messi and Ronaldo marked an end of an era. Ronaldo left for Juventus in 2018 after 9 years at Madrid, having scored 450 goals in 438 appearances, numbers that define greatness. Messi remained at Barcelona until 2021, when the club's financial problems forced them to let their greatest player leave for Paris Saint-Germain. The football world wondered if El Clásico could maintain its magic without these two transcendent players. The answer has been a resounding yes. New stars have emerged: Vinicius Jr.'s pace and skill for Madrid, Lamine Yamal's precocious talent for Barcelona, Jude Bellingham's complete midfielder play for Madrid. In October 2024, Barcelona thrashed Real Madrid 4-0 at the Bernabéu, their biggest away victory margin in modern El Clásico history. In January 2026, Barcelona won the Spanish Super Cup final 5-2 against Real Madrid, scoring 4 goals in the first half, the first time they'd managed such a feat in an El Clásico since Messi's era in May 2009. The rivalry adapts and continues because it's built on foundations deeper than any individual player. It's about institutional pride, cultural identity, and football philosophy. The two clubs have won every La Liga title between them for most of the 21st century, with only occasional interruptions from Atletico Madrid and Valencia. Real Madrid have won La Liga 36 times, while Barcelona have won it 28 times. In the Copa del Rey, Barcelona have won 31 titles to Real Madrid's 20, making them the most successful club in the competition's history. The clubs have met just 8 times in Copa del Rey finals before 2026, with Barcelona winning 3 and Real Madrid winning 4. In Champions League encounters, they've faced each other 8 times, with Real Madrid winning 3, Barcelona 2, and 3 draws.
Real Madrid's European dominance is unmatched. They've won the Champions League or European Cup 15 times, more than any other club. Barcelona have won it 5 times. Both clubs have total trophy hauls exceeding 100 major honors, Real Madrid with 106 trophies and Barcelona with 103. These numbers reflect sustained excellence over more than a century of competition. The rivalry pushes both clubs to constant improvement, innovation, and investment in talent. Neither club can afford to fall behind because the other is always there, ready to capitalize on any weakness. The financial dimension of El Clásico has grown exponentially. Both clubs generate annual revenues exceeding 800 million euros, making them among the world's richest sports organizations. Their global brand reach means El Clásico merchandise is worn in Tokyo, New York, Lagos, and everywhere in between. The Santiago Bernabéu underwent an approximately $900 million renovation completed recently, transforming it into an entertainment venue with state-of-the-art facilities. Camp Nou is planning similar major renovations. Media rights for La Liga are largely driven by El Clásico's global appeal. The fixture is shown in 180 countries and watched by hundreds of millions. Sponsorship deals, merchandise sales, and broadcasting rights generate billions in economic activity. El Clásico has become a global brand that transcends football, influencing fashion, entertainment, and popular culture. This commercial success has both positives and negatives. It ensures both clubs can compete for the world's best talent, but it also raises concerns about football becoming too commercialized and distant from working-class roots. Nevertheless, the financial power of both clubs guarantees El Clásico will remain a premium sporting event for generations.
The international dimension has grown as both clubs have recruited globally. Brazilian legends like Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, Rivaldo, and Roberto Carlos have graced El Clásico. Argentines from Di Stéfano to Maradona to Messi have defined eras. Dutch masters from Cruyff to Arjen Robben have left their mark. French stars, Portuguese legends, German world-class players. El Clásico has become a stage where the world's best showcase their talents. This international flavor has spread the rivalry's appeal beyond Spain, turning it into a truly global phenomenon. Fans worldwide debate Messi versus Ronaldo, Cruyff's legacy, and which era was greatest. Pre-season tours see both clubs playing matches to packed stadiums in Asia, the Americas, and the Middle East. Social media followers number in the hundreds of millions across both clubs, with supporters clubs in cities worldwide. El Clásico has evolved from a Spanish derby into a universal sporting event, a shared cultural reference point that transcends language, nationality, and background. Refereeing El Clásico represents one of football's greatest challenges. Every decision faces intense scrutiny from half of Spain and millions worldwide. Penalties given or not given spark week-long controversies. Red cards generate media storms. The pressure on officials is immense. One call could decide not just the match, but potentially titles or European qualification. Controversial decisions litter El Clásico history. Disputed penalties, harsh red cards, offside calls, and decisions that fans debate for years. The famous 1943 11-1 match remains controversial due to allegations of intimidation. More recently, VAR has been introduced to help officials, but even video review doesn't eliminate controversy. Interpretation of rules still allows debate. The difficulty of officiating fairly when 90,000 fans demand favoritism, when global audiences watch every replay, and both sets of players apply maximum pressure cannot be overstated. Referees who handle El Clásico successfully earn respect throughout football for managing one of sport's most intense occasions. The individual battles within El Clásico create legendary personal rivalries. Sergio Ramos versus Lionel Messi became emblematic of defender versus attacker, aggression versus skill, Madrid's steel against Barcelona's artistry. Their confrontations produced red cards, goals, last-minute winners, and countless memorable duels.
Xavi Hernandez versus Xavi Alonso represented the midfield chess match, two masters of tempo and passing, trying to impose their team's rhythm. Gerard Piqué versus Cristiano Ronaldo carried extra spice, given their time as Manchester United teammates before facing each other as adversaries. These personal rivalries added narrative depth, turning tactical matchups into human drama. The respect between competitors mixed with genuine competitive dislike created combustible combinations. Piqué's social media presence and occasional trolling of Madrid, Ramos's provocative celebrations at Camp Nou, and verbal exchanges all reflected intense personal investment in the collective rivalry. These weren't just professionals doing jobs, they were invested warriors fighting for causes bigger than themselves, representing cities, cultures, and identities. In the end, El Clásico is more than a match because it represents everything football can be at its highest level. It's sporting excellence, the best players performing on the biggest stages with the highest stakes. It's cultural expression, identity, pride, and history manifesting through athletic competition. It's historical continuity, a thread connecting past, present, and future, allowing each generation to participate in something larger than themselves. It's global spectacle, a shared experience watched by hundreds of millions, creating simultaneous collective attention in an increasingly fractured world. It's human drama, triumph and heartbreak, heroes and villains, brilliance and collapse. From Di Stefano's controversial transfer to Messi and Ronaldo's golden era, from Cruyff's revolutionary football to modern tactical innovations, El Clásico has evolved while remaining essentially itself, the ultimate derby, the greatest rivalry, the match that transcends football. The clubs have met over 260 times, and each match adds another chapter to this ongoing story. Records will be broken, new stars will emerge, tactics will evolve, but the fundamental elements remain constant. Two great clubs, representing different visions of Spanish identity, competing for supremacy in the world's most watched domestic football fixture. That's why, no matter how many times these teams meet, the world will always stop to watch. Because El Clásico isn't just about who wins or loses, it's about what winning and losing represent, what football means, and what it means to belong to something greater than yourself. That's what makes Real Madrid versus Barcelona more than a match. It makes it the defining rivalry in world football, a cultural phenomenon that will endure for generations.